And thank you. Let's bring in JL Partners Polls Director Scarlett McGuire, District Media Group President Beverly Hallberg, and Princeton University political scientist Lauren Wright. Thank you all for coming on. Lauren, to you first, because he said threat to democracy or talked about the threat to democracy several times in the first few minutes of this speech. Here's one of them. Listen, and I'll get your response.
I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away.
I mean, you can kind of see here, Lauren, where the campaign is going, right? That's going to be a big push coming toward November.
Yes, and the way he started out being very strong against Putin, talking about Ukraine, I thought made a lot of sense. Then when he transitioned to January 6th, that's where the polling is going to catch up to him. Perhaps voters should care more than they do about January 6th. Perhaps they should think about it more and talk about it more. But it ranks among the lowest issues on their list. And so that ordering I was very surprised by, and I didn't understand the strategy.
What about you, Beverly Hallberg? I'm just curious about the delivery itself. We talked a lot about this with Kevin. A lot of people on social media, a lot of analysts said he seemed a little bit angry. He spoke very fast at times, sometimes indecipherable. What did you think about the delivery, the tone, and the tenor?
Well, I think he came out wanting to give a strong delivery because this was really a time for him to speak to his own base. This wasn't to get Nikki Haley voters. This wasn't to get independent voters. It was actually.
Today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. Welcome.
Did we lose Beverly?
Last year.
Oh, I think
sorry.
we lost her.
Oh,
we'll
sorry.
get
I hear you now. So I think I got it back now. Sorry about that. So I think what he was trying to do is really reach out to his own base to try to win them over. And I think that was the huge problem with this is that even though he was angry and he was able to make it through it, there were still plenty of stumbles in it.
Yeah, I thought you were doing a Biden impersonation, the pause there, but it was the timing was spot on, Beverly Hill. I want to go here because he also talked about the economy, Scarlett, and I'll get your take. This is call for two, Katie, the economy.
My inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record.
But here's what he doesn't get, Scarlett. I want to put this on the screen because this Five Guys receipt has gotten a lot of social media time where a burger, fries, and a Coke was $24. That's the part the president doesn't get, and that's why he is deeply underwater when it comes to people's prospects on the economy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Voters do not think Biden is doing a good job of handling the economy, and they actually think Trump would do a better job and did a better job when he was president, which I think goes a long way to explain why Biden is currently struggling in the polls. That Five Guys receipt is absolutely shocking. We are seeing a way in which American prices are going crazily up, food prices as well, and I think that's the problem. You can say that the economy is the envy of the world, but everyday Americans are just not feeling it when they go about their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, and then he talked about uniting the country, and he said this. Watch. It's called.
Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future.
So the whole theme, Lauren, was about uniting the country, and it's, yeah, we want to unite the country, except for half the country. Those Republicans, we don't really want them in the mix here. What do you think?
I mean, I think Biden actually has a pretty good record on bipartisanship. He called out his friend Lindsey Graham, for instance. These are the types of interactions that people like. But you're right. I mean, the message on the economy was pretty divisive, and he promised a lot of stuff that I have no idea how he's going to pay for. Raising the corporate tax rate isn't even going to get us close. But yes, there are many examples of Democrats pulling people backwards in freedom and giving them less choice, as well as the Republican examples, which obviously are the ones that he's highlighting, and he's right about some of them.
Yeah, and Beverly, when you look at the overall speech, the content of it, was it more of a campaign speech in your estimation, or do you think this was a regal State of the Union address?
Definitely not a regal State of the Union address. The State of the Union is apparently angry, and I really think he was just trying to ensure that his base thinks that he has a stamina to get through not just election season, but also the next 4 years. I think this was about fighting the impression that he is too old to do this. And I'll say this, even though there are a lot of stumbles, when you compare this to some of his recent speeches, he actually made it through far better than he has done in the past. For him, I think he's going to look at this as a victory.
It's such a low bar. It's a great point. It just, the bar was very low, Trace.
Yeah, it really was a low bar. And we talked about that before the State of the Union address, where they kind of, people put the bar so low. They're saying, you know what, if he can stay up there for the hour that he needs to stay up there and at least get through this, then we're all going to applaud. And you can bet if you're going to look in the New York Times, and you look in the Washington Post tomorrow, you're going to see big headlines like hugely successful speech. Well, not hugely successful, but at least he did get through it. I want to play this last soundbite. This is about hate, anger, and retribution. Watch.
Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back.
Maybe a clever phrase, Scarlett McGuire, but the truth is it's how old he is. It's a lot of Americans worry about that. 70+% are like, you know what? He's too old.
Yeah, absolutely. Americans think he's too old, not just Republicans, but Democrats as well, and crucially independents. I think this is the problem. He's trying to throw forward into a future. He's trying to show that he can sort of sell a campaign message for the next 4 years. But when we asked voters what they thought Biden wanted from a second term, they said nothing. They don't know what he wants to achieve. They're not sure of his goals. And I think part of the problem is as well saying, Americans don't want to go backwards, but a lot of Americans feel like the country's moving in the wrong direction anyway, so they don't want to go forward along his agenda, or they're not convinced of that yet.
It's a very good point, because a lot of people came away from this not quite knowing where he wants to go in the next 4 years. Scarlett, Beverly, Lauren, thank you all for coming on. We appreciate it. Now to immigration to talk